Wonder with Henrique being added to the lineup, kind of his ability to move around and such. Just if you get the sense that the group is more experienced, deeper, what that sort of immediate effect is of adding a guy like that.
Yeah, all of the above. Definitely deeper, definitely more experienced. Guy who's been in the league a long time, and like you said, very versatile. Can play wing, can play center, can play up and down the lineup, can play both special teams. So it's always great to have a guy like that.
What would you say you've noticed in the early days here about his game? Maybe some things that help at playoff time, some subtleties that he has in his game.
Just steady. I think, listen, anytime you're going from one team to another, you've got to adjust system-wise, and you got to get to know a lot of different people and players, so that's not easy. But I think with him, just steady. I think every time he's been out there, you just feel safe. You feel like, you're not going to get scored on. You feel like you have the puck. So I think just early on, the word I would use is steady, and in the playoffs, that's what you want, is somebody you can rely on in all situations, and because the margins are so tight.
There's other players have said that there's a league, there's a preseason league, there's a December league, things sort of change, and then there's a ramp up for the playoffs type of league. Is it there yet? Are the playoff teams sort of getting to that style and getting ready already?
Yeah, I think after the deadline, everybody's got their team, right? So that's exciting. You have the team that you're going forward with into hopefully the playoffs for the teams that want to get there, obviously. And then for the teams that are out, you're calling up younger kids who want to make an impression and make a name for themselves and stick around for the following year, right? So I think this time of year, everybody's playing for something, and the stakes increase no matter where you are in the lineup. So, I mean, for us, obviously, we want to continue to push, get better, and be the best version of ourselves going into the playoffs and secure home ice and do all those things, because every little edge matters.
Zach, fatigue is a factor of the game. 6 games in 9 days, and now you got had a little bit of a break. You got another 2 days off, and then a game another 2 days off. Do you notice it as a player? Like, was it noticeable for you when you're playing 6 games in 6 days in 6 different cities?
Oh yeah, I mean, we're human. Like, if people, I guess, watching forget, you just think as a fan, even myself as a fan, you watch and it's like, oh, another hockey game. But really, for players, you're traveling across, the country, playing, different time zones and playing pretty much every other night or back to back. So yeah, that was a grind. I thought, we didn't necessarily play our best, but we still, I think we managed a 4-1-1 record throughout those 6 games, which is pretty solid, all things considered. But as a player, it's just part of the job. You have stretches in a season where you're going to be having a schedule like that, and then stretches like this where you can kind of take advantage of the rest and prepare for the next stretch. Because it feels like March and April every year, they just kind of bunch them together to get you primed for the playoffs.
The last year, many of the veterans said you need to be better defensively. You guys have played a lot tighter games. Your goals against is down significantly. You mentioned 4-1-1. You only average 1.5 goals against. Do you sense a higher level of comfort in your defensive structure as a team and playing in tighter games?
For sure. I think first and foremost, you only have, your goalie is everything, right? And our goalies have been phenomenal. Both guys have been amazing over the stretch. I think defensively we help them out as we can. Obviously, early in the year, I think it's impossible for the goalie to play well with the way that we were playing and the chances we were giving up. But I think now we've really figured out the system. I think Chris has done a great job coming in and helping us clear that up. And I just think we're all on the same page. And obviously, I think we've been doing a good job of limiting chances. I think one of the big things were the rush chances against, and I think we've done a good job of that as well. And like I said, it all comes down to the goalies, and they've been playing really well.
One of the interesting things about your lineup is there's this spot, a top 6 spot, and you've got a bunch of players that are, probably all have their eye on it, and rightfully so. What have you sort of seen in the competition, Fogle, McLeod, Janmark, these guys, this opportunity is there in their pursuit to sort of elevate, and that's probably a good thing to have that sitting there for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think every team's constructed differently. I think in our case, obviously, I think we've added pieces, like you mentioned, at the deadline to give us more depth. I think we've got an immense amount of depth throughout our forward lineup, and we can have guys moving up and down the lineup based off of how they're playing and how the team is doing. Right? I think that sort of internal competition, like you mentioned, is great because it keeps everybody hungry and keeps everybody striving to be the best version of themselves, and in turn, that helps the team be the best version of itself. So I think everybody's got one singular goal, and that's to win as a team. So I think individually, guys just want to be the best versions of themselves.